And next up, we have Terra. So today, presenting will be Kwon. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Do.
Hello, everybody. I'm Do from Terra. I'm one of the two co-founders. We opened Korea Blockchain Week with a pretty ambitious title, Korea Runs on Terra. So I think we're just getting started here, but I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in our project. So please stay tuned. Before I start talking about Terra, I want to talk about Y Combinator for a bit. So probably the one company that has had the greatest impact in the narrative of the modern startup is Y Combinator. And I quote its founder, Paul Graham, who says, "A startup is a company that is designed to grow fast. The only essential thing is growth. Everything else that we associate with startups is secondary to growth." But as we all know, blockchain projects have been pursuing things a little bit differently from this mantra. Right? Whereas traditional startups focus on solid business plans and tested go-to-markets, blockchain companies have been focusing on white papers and theories. And whereas traditional startups have been focused on things like delivering investor value, blockchain products are focused on market making and trading volumes. And most importantly, whereas traditional startups are focused on user numbers and growth, blockchain projects are focused on other things like airdrops and Telegram rooms and things like that. So perhaps it should come as no surprise then why the numbers of the top decentralized applications are so abysmal. So in comparison, the largest mobile applications on Google Play and Apple App Store today are things like Facebook and WhatsApp and TikTok. So these companies add about 200 million in additional users every fiscal quarter. In comparison to that, if you take the top decentralized applications by daily active user numbers on Ethereum, Tron, and EOS, so these are guys like Prospectors, My Crypto Heroes, and EOS Knights, daily active users oscillate anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 users per day. So if you take away airdrops and incentivize participation programs, I think it's pretty safe to say that nobody is using decentralized applications today, sadly. I know that most of you probably think that we're in the middle of a bear market, but I don't really understand how that can be true. Because if you were to apply traditional user number evaluation metrics to things like EOS and Tron, EOS, for instance, the unit value of an EOS user would be above $10 million. And given that Justin Tron is the only person that's using Tron, the unit value of a Tron user is $900 million, which seems pretty high to me. So insofar that you have blockchains that are not delivering any value, they shouldn't be valued anything at all, right? What I say is that the days of token prices that are not backed up by user fundamentals are over and gone. Going forward, we should stop asking projects how many followers that they have in their Telegram rooms. We should stop asking them when they plan to do airdrops. We should stop asking them how many Twitter followers that their founders may have. We should be asking them the one thing that matters, is how they plan to deliver the promise of their technology to millions and millions of users. So we're not there yet, but I think we're making some strong strides to make that happen. So we launched our payment gateway called Chai about 13 weeks ago, and I'm a little bit biased here, but we've been getting some phenomenal progress. I want to talk about first why that's the case. So Chai is actually pretty simple. It just does pretty dumbed down payments. Like in the front end, it's a fully licensed payment gateway. It integrates with 14 of the top 15 banks, 14 of the top 15 banks in Korea, such that the user only needs to pay in fiat and doesn't have to interact with crypto so much. But in the back end, it uses Terra's blockchain technology to solve some major pain points and problems for the merchants. So first, on the surface, Terra offers the same seamless user experience as mainstream payment applications. At registration, the only thing that the user has to do is to link one of their bank accounts to the Chai payment gateway, and then when they're buying something, they just need to enter a 6-digit PIN in order to complete the transaction. There's no need to worry about private keys or complicated wallet addresses, because users shouldn't have to worry about that. Users of the internet don't know how sockets work or how TCP/IP works. And we think this is going to be getting closer to what the end vision of blockchain is supposed to be, solving problems in the back end while causing no additional pain points for the user. But in the back end is where the real magic starts to happen. And I contend that Terra solves two of the biggest roadblocks to the adoption of digital payments in Asia and the rest of the world. So the first is slow settlement periods. In Korea, it takes a traditional gateway 5 to 7 days in order to settle a transaction. In Japan, it takes up to 10 days. In Southeast Asia, it takes up to 14. And slow settlement times have been one of the biggest problems for merchants adopting digital payments over cash in Asia. So if you're a taxi driver, for instance, you live day to day. You need the money from the sale of one day to be able to buy food and fuel the next. The same working capital problem persists if you're an SMB like a restaurant, for instance, because you need the working capital right away in many days to be able to buy ingredients, to pay off staff, and things like that. And simply having to wait multiple days for the transaction to settle is untenable to that goal. Terra settles in 6 seconds. So every block, for every transaction that has been made, we batch it up and then send it to the merchant so that they can have easy and early access to working capital should they choose to do so. The second problem that we solve is high transaction fees. So for most blockchain payment systems, actually transaction fees are higher than in traditional payment gateways, at least for retail payments. And the reason for that is not only do you need to pay high transaction fees, but on top of that, you need to add in the cost of volatility. So for a payment gateway that is building businesses and payment applications on top of a blockchain protocol, actually the cumulative cost that they have to pay is actually higher. Chai as a payment gateway charges anywhere between 0.5 to 1.3% over its transactions to the merchant, depending on the category, whereas the traditional payment gateways charge anywhere between 2.7 to 3% to process transactions. So it's a stepwise improvement in terms of the payment deals that merchants would be getting. Last but not least, Terra offers unparalleled discounts and promotions through Terra, what we call fiscal spending. Right? So Terra is a fractional reserve stability mechanism, which means that as Terra's adoption and usage grows and more Terra enters the market, we can take the amount of spread, or seniors as they call it in monetary economics, to be able to do interesting things. So what we choose to do with this money is that we use the economic growth in the Terra economy and then give it back to Chai users in the form of user promotions and discounts. So different to a system, traditional payment system where promotions and discounts have to be funded through war chests and venture capitalists, this offers a fundamentally better economic model where users can get access to unparalleled benefits by shopping over this payment gateway over others. So in the 13 weeks in which we've been operational, early response has been quite explosive. Up to today, we've had 430,000 shoppers over the Chai payment gateway, most of them coming in the last month. And we've processed nearly 2 million transactions up to date. And we think that this number will continue to grow. In terms of daily active users, Terra and Chai has already surpassed some of the most popular tokens. Our daily active user numbers today currently stand at around 58,000 users, which surpasses Litecoin's 52,000 and Bitcoin Cash's 29,000. And we're quite confident that outside the fringe use cases of speculation and exchange trading, we're going to catch up to Bitcoin in a matter of a few months, and I'm quite confident that we'll pass Ethereum by the end of the year. By the end of the year, we target a transaction volume run rate of 1 billion USD. So this might seem ambitious, but we've made some pretty interesting announcements over Korea Blockchain Week, some of our plans and announcements on how we can get there. And we call this How Korea Will Run on Terra. Earlier this week, Chai announced an integration with the largest hospitality aggregation platform in Korea, doing about 2 billion USD in online bookings and 8 billion USD in offline sales. Through Yanorja, we now have accessibility to around 400,000 hotels in about 210 countries, and it's the predominant hospitality service that Koreans use on a day-to-day basis. Second, we announced our first payments expansion outside of Korea by launching a new product called Chai Duty Free, aimed at B2B resellers in Hong Kong. So if you are Korean or you buy a lot of stuff on duty free, which some of you might, then you might be already pretty familiar with this brand. This is the largest in the Korean market, in the $17 billion duty free market today. So Chai Duty Free is going to be the exclusive payment gateway over our B2B customers, servicing Hong Kong first, but spreading to different countries. And we expect this to be adding hundreds of millions of dollars to our annual transaction volume pretty shortly. After Hong Kong, we're already putting in the legwork, such as acquiring necessary licensing and forming banking partnerships, 11 new Asian markets by 2021. And we're thinking about countries like Mongolia, where we'll be opening payment operations in conjunction with the central government. We're looking at countries like Japan, which shares similar licensing frameworks with Korea. We're looking at countries like Singapore, which is basically the stepping stone to gaining access to the Southeast Asian market. The third announcement that we've made is that Chai will be offered as a payment service with CU, which is Korea's largest convenience store chain. So CU does about $16 billion in sales every year, and most of you during your short stay here have stopped by to pick up beer, cigarettes, or what have you using this store chain. So this integration will mean that Chai will become available as a payment option in 14,000 stores in Korea, in convenience stores in Korea, and then you'll be able to use this to buy all of your favorite products. Convenience stores will be first, but we're taking steps towards offline ubiquity by rapidly increasing Chai's consumer touchpoints. So we plan to be in transportation, we plan to be in restaurants, we plan to be in grocery stores, and this is going to be a first step, a first foray into gaining access to offline markets and becoming ubiquitous as a payment option in Korea. The last thing that we announced, perhaps the most exciting, is that we announced a partnership with BC Card to issue a top-up debit card by the end of this year or early next year. So I know that there are lots of different crypto top-up debit card plays by Ontology, Crypto.com, but that's a little bit different because it sits on top of existing card networks and then charges a higher fee for having to interact with volatile crypto tokens. But we are forming a new card network with BC Card, and we deal with the stable token, so the transaction fee structure is fundamentally different. What this essentially means is that BC Card has a distribution network of about 4 million merchants in Korea and 40 million merchants across the world with their partnership with UnionPay and MasterCard and Visa. So this means that literally starting next year, you'll be able to use Chai to be able to gain access to payments anywhere and everywhere across the globe. Yeah, so it's in over 200 countries, over 40 million affiliates, and in the domestic network, over 3 million affiliates as well. So basically what we're going for is to facilitate everyday retail transactions that are powered by Terra. And we think, today I presented some pretty valuable evidence as to how we're starting to do just that. Thank you very much.